3,000 feet above New York City, a routine flight became a test of human instinct. Just minutes after takeoff, both engines failed, and the Hudson River suddenly became a runway. This is how the news covered U.S. Airways Flight 1549 and the miracle that unfolded on the water. On January 15, 2009, a routine flight from LaGuardia to Charlotte struck a flock of birds, causing both engines to fail. What happened next turned out to be life-saving for all on board and a miracle on the Hudson.
155 people can say they survived a plane crash.
Take a look now. These are the pictures we just got in from our friends at Inside Edition. You can see passengers standing on the wings waiting to be rescued. Here is the very latest that we know right now. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 sits in the water off Battery Park tonight.
All 146 passengers and 5 crew members were pulled out of the cold water safely.
And the cause of the crash? Well, investigators say the plane struck a flock of birds during takeoff from LaGuardia Airport.
We begin with Lisa Evers live at the crash site. Lisa.
Well, Darian Ernie, my federal law enforcement sources ruled out terrorism as the reason the plane's twin engines burst into flames. The hero pilot was able to save more than 150 lives with an emergency crash landing here in the icy Hudson River.
About 3 or 4 minutes into the flight, I was sitting in 22A, so the left engine just blew. Fire, flames coming out of it, and I was looking right at it because I was sitting right there.
The U.S. Airways Airbus A320 had just taken off from LaGuardia Airport for Charlotte, North Carolina. The FAA says a flock of birds knocked out both its engines, causing electrical fires.
And it just started smelling a lot like gasoline. And a couple minutes after that, the pilot said, "You guys got to brace for a hard impact." And that's when everyone started, to be honest, saying prayers.
The pilot guided the plane down in a textbook water landing in the Hudson River off West 48th Street and 12th Avenue in Midtown Manhattan. While it was still floating, he and his 4-person flight crew got all 150 passengers on board off the wreckage alive, although there were some injuries.
People were bleeding all over there, man. The place where I got off, some lady's leg got cut up.
The pilot did a masterful job of landing the plane in the river and then making sure that everybody got out. I had a long conversation with the pilot. He walked the plane twice after everybody else was off and tried to verify that there was nobody else on board.
The New York Waterways ferries nearby brought survivors to safety. So did rescuers from the Coast Guard, NYPD, and the fire department in a well-coordinated effort. They brought fast relief to those who had just experienced the most frightening moment of their lives.
Onto the wings, and then they had 4 deflatable boats that came out, so people were jumping out of the plane into the boats.
Now, officially, the NTSB says that they are investigating, but the pilot radioed the air traffic control tower moments after takeoff, saying that he had a double bird strike. Darian Ernie, back to you.
Lisa, thank you. Well, perhaps one of the most amazing things about tonight's miracle on the Hudson was how many people witnessed and captured the events. This is home video captured by an Upper West Side mom. Now, she managed to record the moments after the plane went into the water, as you see, and also see the first ferry arrive to rescue those passengers. She told our Brett Lawson what she saw was unbelievable.
I was looking out the window and I noticed an airplane flying along the river, and it was flying extremely low. Like normally they're flying pretty high, but this one was very low. And I thought to myself, gee, this doesn't seem right. And I watched it as it started from the right, and it kept coming down closer and closer to the river until just about a couple blocks down, it actually crashed into the river.
What a story. It is nothing short of a miracle that no one got seriously hurt in this crash.
Fox 5's Andrea Day is outside St. Luke's Roosevelt Hospital on the west side with more on the passengers' incredible stories of survival.
Yeah, Darian Ernie, it's tough to even imagine what it was like for one man. He was in the back of the plane, seat 23A, and almost completely underwater.
I started to get, close to my neck underwater, and, I just thought I was going to drown right there.
And Bill Zuhowski still can't believe he made it out alive. The 23-year-old left St. Luke's Roosevelt Hospital shaken and bruised, but able to tell his amazing story of survival.
And you just heard the pilot, brace yourself for impact. You know, how do you brace yourself for impact when you know your plane's about to crash?
He says it began with a sudden jerk, like turbulence. Then everyone started to panic. Minutes later, Flight 1549 was down.
The impact hitting the water was just, you know, the most tremendous impact you could imagine.
He says water rushed in, and passengers ran to the back of the plane, where he was desperately trying to keep his head above water.
The water was coming up so fast in the back, I ripped all my clothes off thinking, you know, I'd be lighter, I might have to swim.
Finally, he crawled over seats and made it out to a dinghy.
All he kept retweeting was, "I can't believe that I'm here." I was on my way to celebrate somebody's birthday.
Helen Rodriguez wrapped him in a blanket, and at St. Luke's, doctors still amazed that it wasn't much worse.
The people we've treated so far only had mild at worst hypothermia, so you know, it just speaks to how the coordinated effort of the flight crew to set the plane down softly.
And he says 11 people were treated here at St. Luke's. The worst injury, a flight attendant's broken leg. Just an amazing, amazing story.
Continuing coverage now of the miracle on the Hudson.
Ordinary citizens jumped in to help the rescue of the passengers from that plane.
Fox 5's Christina Park has more on the people who went above and way beyond.
The first survivors to be rescued from the Hudson River right off the wings of a plane came here to Weehawken. And when they left, some were crying, many were in complete shock, but all were thankful to be alive.
Seeing the people coming out of a plane from the Hudson wet onto the piers and into our restaurant was amazing. I couldn't believe it.
Nearly 24 survivors of U.S. Airways Flight 1549, the first ones rescued, pile into a heated bus, still shivering, still very wet.
A few of them that were hurt, they had like some dry blood, shaking, completely shaking. They couldn't even like grab their blankets.
They bundled up in several blankets, plastic, whatever they could find to stay warm, some unable to walk on their own, most of them without shoes. Natali was on the New York Waterway ferry starting a shift when they saw the plane go down.
We saved the people by the wings on the left and on the right, and that's how we got them all.
Here at Arthur's Landing in Weehawken, this restaurant became an emergency room.
Some of them were really bad, really cold, shivering. One lady went as far as telling me she didn't feel her legs or her feet.
It looked like they were frozen to the bone. Just going out back to throw out trash, it's cold just for 2 minutes. I can't imagine being in the water.
Amid the blankets and a heater, EMS teams treated survivors for hypothermia, shock, and exposure.
This police officer is carrying this one lady who she's just eyes closed, doesn't know what's going on.
On a night people would enjoy fine dining in front of this view, tonight survivors huddled looking at the icy waters that nearly claimed them, lucky to be alive.
It brings a lot of things to perspective, you know?
None of the passengers had their own cell phones on them. They left all their belongings behind on the plane. If you have trouble getting through to them, there are two hotlines, one from U.S. Airways, the other from the city of New York. Both hotlines are on our website.
More live pictures now of the waters off Battery Park, where Flight 1549 remains in the very cold waters there. And you can see the wings sticking out of the water.
And of course, once that plane landed safely, well, the next big danger for the passengers was hypothermia.
Now, it can set in very quickly, especially with today's brutally cold temperatures and also frigid waters.
Dr. Sapna Parikh has more.
As U.S. Airway Flight 1549 plunged into the frigid Hudson River, every moment was crucial. Here's one survivor immediately after being rescued.
I'm wet from probably my waist down. It's a little cold out here in New York right now, so it's starting to turn to ice.
The body loses heat rapidly in cold water, about 30 times faster than in cold air. With a water temperature of about 41 degrees at the time of the crash, if passengers were fully submerged, they would have had about 30 minutes before exhaustion or a loss of consciousness would have occurred. Hospitals on both sides of the river quickly prepared for patients.
Most people were lucky, but everyone's being assessed for hypothermia.
An amazing rescue effort allowed all 155 passengers and crew members to scramble onto rescue boats quickly, so exposure to the cold waters was minimal.
We have an active training program, first aid CPR, which members are actively going through right now. We have platforms and cradles that lower on a boat. Our crews are trained in them. They train once every couple weeks on this. We go through U.S. Coast Guard training drills.
Dr. Sapna Parikh, Fox 5 News.
600 miles away in Charlotte, North Carolina, friends and family anxiously awaited.
And tonight, the sighs of relief stretch far beyond our area.
Yeah, families in Charlotte, where the plane was headed, are also counting their blessings.
Fox's Eva Pilgrim continues our team coverage tonight. She's live in Charlotte. Eva.
We're live here at the Charlotte Douglas International Airport, where we're waiting to see if any of those passengers come home to the Queen City tonight. We were able to get our hands on this, the passenger manifest, the list of all the names of the people that were on that plane. We know that 3 of them were Wells Wachovia employees, 23 Bank of America employees. For the majority of the people on that plane, Charlotte was supposed to be their final destination.
At Hertz counter, I'm getting a car. That was the plan.
But when he got here to the Hertz counter, he found out the coworker he was supposed to meet wouldn't be coming.
From Connecticut, flying out of LaGuardia.
His flight, U.S. Airways 1549.
U.S. Airways Flight 1549 has been involved in an accident.
The plane, an Airbus A320, crashed into the Hudson River minutes after takeoff. Inside the plane, a full flight, 150 passengers, 5 crew members.
We can confirm that 104 passengers on board the aircraft were bound for Charlotte.
Everyone on that plane survived.
But he did call the office.
For Sheik, no more waiting at the counter.
I'll be driving by myself now, yeah.
Just glad that his colleague is okay.
We all have families we have to go back to, so I'm just anxious to get back home to mine.
Now the family and friends are waiting here at the airport in a secluded area, being taken care of by U.S. Airways tonight. They're being given food and water as they wait for their loved ones to come home. The last flight from New York to Charlotte lands here in Charlotte right after midnight. We're live in Charlotte. Eva Pilgrim, Fox News.
Flight 1549 went down because of a flock of birds, but this wasn't the first time birds have forced a plane out of the sky.
Flying birds are believed to be the culprits in yesterday's near disaster.
And as Fox 5's Barbara Nevins-Taylor tells us, pilots are very aware about these dangerous birds.
Birds in flight. We see them all the time, and so do pilots.
I've seen a flock of birds crossing the path or birds in the area, and I've refused to take off.
Pilot John Tristani, other pilots and air traffic controllers tell us geese are an increasing problem. Port Authority Director Chris Ward acknowledges it.
Typically what happens is a bird will strike, it will hit one engine, and the plane is continually able to travel.
At LaGuardia and JFK, pilots have successfully aborted flights after bird strikes, many caused by geese. The FAA says there have been 103 incidents of geese striking planes in New York, 73 in New Jersey, and 1,266 nationwide since 1990.
Every airline has to pass a test on terms of its jet engine's capacity to absorb bird impact.
Nevertheless, birds cause significant damage. It adds up to $600 million a year in the U.S., according to the Bird Strike Committee, USA. There is the human toll. In 1995, 24 were killed when a U.S. Air Force plane crashed in Alaska after birds were sucked into the engines. In 1960, 62 were killed when an Eastern Airlines plane crashed in Boston because of birds.
These blades, and they break off these blades.
Pilot Tristani showed us a diagram of an engine like the two on Flight 1549. The NTSB says those engines are missing, but when found, it's likely that the titanium fan blades will have been ripped off by geese.
Canadian geese at 20 pounds each. That's a sack of cement coming into my engine.
The Port Authority says it tries to scare birds away with noise, and it has killed some.
We've got a 365 days a year, 7 hours a day bird program at LaGuardia at all of our airports all the time.
Yet researchers say the birds, particularly geese, are multiplying at an alarming rate and are cause for concern.
Suddenly this thing appears and it's gone, and you hear a thump.
Clearly, what passengers, pilots, and air traffic controllers want now is a consistent policy aimed at controlling the birds put into effect immediately. In Battery Park City, Barbara Nevins-Taylor, Fox 5 News.
2 days after the incident, crews worked to remove the plane from the river, and the first surveillance footage emerges.
Right now, crews are still trying to remove the plane from the icy waters. They were supposed to do so earlier, but treacherous conditions have been hampering their efforts. In the meantime, the pilots talked to investigators today about what happened and their life or death decision to land on the Hudson. We are also seeing the first surveillance video of the plane actually making that splash landing. We have team coverage, and we begin with Fox 5's Rob Malcolm in Battery Park City, where crews are trying to remove the U.S. Airways jet from the river. Hi, Rob.
Well, good evening, Christina, and certainly they are trying to move that jet from the river. I just want you to take a look behind me and just look at the activity that's going on here. You see this huge crane, and the straps are secured to the wings of this Airbus. Now, the ice and water have basically brought this plane down into the Hudson. Now, the NTSB says that both the wings of the Airbus have been secured and that they'll take as much time as needed to remove it tonight from the water. Tonight, the NTSB in their final press conference for the evening said they talked about the heroics again of that flight crew. The final moments for Flight 1549 as it cleared the George Washington Bridge Thursday morning. NTSB investigators describe what the crew saw in the cockpit moments after leaving LaGuardia.
The first officer reported that somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 feet, he saw a flock of birds to the right of the nose of the plane, and he commented that they were in a perfect line formation. The captain was the monitoring pilot, so his head was down, but when he looked up, he said the windscreen was filled with birds.
Captain Chesley B. Sullenberger made the split-second decision to ditch in the Hudson based on geography and distance, saving the lives of his crew and passengers and possibly those on the ground.
LaGuardia was proposed. The captain decided no. Too low, too slow, too many buildings.
The decision has garnered national praise. The Airbus now sits in the Hudson River. Salvage efforts tonight hindered by cold temperatures. The NTSB says it's been a long day, but they're getting it done. Meanwhile, for residents and tourists in Battery Park City, an Airbus just outside their front door is just something they don't see every day.
You know, you see this news thing that's all over the world, or at least in this country, and you know, you just walk right over and see it.
I really want to see the plane and see what happened because it was such an amazing story.
It's a happy ending, and so now it's kind of neat to check it out. There was no fatalities, obviously, so let's kind of see how they do it.
And of course, the goal is to get this plane out of the water and move it by barge to a secure location in New Jersey and go through those black boxes and try to find out what exactly happened here. They say, the NTSB says, they're going to try to get this done anytime tonight.
Well, it's not something you see every day, a giant passenger plane slowly floating along the Hudson River. Tugboats are pulling the U.S. Airways plane to a marina in New Jersey. We're getting a first look at the damage to that plane and learning more about what happened on that flight. Fox 5's Rob Malcolm is live at Battery Park with the very latest. Good evening, Rob.
Well, good evening, Christina. Yeah, and it has been quite a spectacle for many people over the past 4 days down here in Lower Manhattan. And as you saw, Flight 1549 is leaving New York again, not on a runway, but by a barge. Meanwhile, the NTSB says they know what's on those black boxes, and they are closer to finding that missing engine. Finally defueled with the damaged right engine visible, the crippled 169,000-pound jetliner is slowly pushed on a barge through the waters of Lower Manhattan, headed to New Jersey, where engineers and the NTSB can assess the damage. Investigators today say the black boxes removed are in good condition and confirm what the pilots have said.
About 90 seconds after takeoff, the captain remarks about birds. The data indicates that the airplane reached a maximum altitude of 3,200 feet and that both engines lost power simultaneously.
But early today, as they looked at a mangled right engine, divers still have to recover the left. But a sonar team has now given them an idea where to look near the crash site.
We've been told that the NYPD Marine unit is quite familiar with the bottom out there. The objects that of that type are all known, and this one is not known.
But the search for the missing engine has been suspended until Tuesday. The NTSB says icy conditions in the area have made it too dangerous for divers to get in the water.
On the engine that is still missing, the left engine, the ice flows in the river, and I've seen pictures, and I certainly was out there, saw the ice yesterday. It's really slowing further examination of the site.
So that search will resume again on Tuesday. Now, while investigators praise the flight crew, they want to know how and why this accident happened. They also want to make recommendations to ensure that it never happens again. We're live here in Battery Park City.
After saving everyone on his flight with that miracle landing, Captain Sullenberger got a hero's welcome.
He is the man behind the miracle on the Hudson. Chesley Sullenberger safely landed U.S. Airways Flight 1549 in the Hudson River, saving 155 lives, including his own. And this afternoon, hundreds of people in his hometown of Danville, California, gave Sully a hero's welcome. William Lajeunesse reports.
In the eyes of the world, pilot Chesley Sullenberger is bigger than life, having saved so many. But to the man himself, who millions call the hero of the Hudson, Sully was just doing his job.
Circumstance determined that it was this experienced crew that was scheduled to fly that particular flight on that particular day. But I know I can speak for the entire crew when I tell you we were simply doing the jobs we were trained to do.
Sullenberger and his wife Lori appeared even embarrassed at times at the outpouring of gratitude from their fellow residents of Danville, California.
To say that we are completely overwhelmed by the outpouring of support and love and cards, there is no words.
The city originally planned a parade in Sully's honor, but the unpretentious airline captain declined.
So we slowly twisted their arm and they said, okay, we'll do this, keep it simple, we want to do it in Danville, and this is the only event they wanted to do.
Under Pilot Association rules, Sully couldn't tell us what happened in the cockpit that day until the investigation is complete. But his wife said watching TV, she never had any doubt.
I knew when I married Sully, the one thing for sure was that he was the most honorable man I knew. I have always known him to be an exemplary pilot. I knew what the outcome would be that day because I knew my husband.
Now, as for the accident, investigators say they have found bird feathers on the wing flaps and what appears to be animal flesh on the fuselage. But today was about the man who acted quickly, calmly, and decisively to save the lives of 155 people, earning the gratitude of this community and the nation as well. In Danville, California, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
That was the news then.